My name is Keith Nelson, and I come from Camp Kalakwa, Florida. In fact, all of our critters are coming from Camp Kalakwa, Florida, a place where children and the Creator get to meet. So, you know, Jesus made the animals specific for you guys. They're like love notes from heaven. And the reason He made all the critters and animals for us is so that we get to enjoy them and take care of them. I know some of you have pets at home, probably most of you. And if you do, I want you to help take care of those pets. Don't leave all the care and feeding to mom and dad. You guys can jump right in because that's our God-given responsibility. And it's a joy to do that, isn't it? And in fact, some of the critters we have here are from all over the globe, all over God's creation. I want to start out by telling you a story about Sammy, the amazing, incredible sand boa. Sammy, he lives in Kenya, but not just anywhere in Kenya. He lives in the desert, in the hot, arid, dry desert region where there's lots of sand and cactus and maybe a few outcroppings of rocks or logs to hide under, but not much wood. And he has his life designed by the Creator specific, just perfect and suited for that desert region. One day in the morning, Sammy gets up and he pokes his head up out of the sand, and all you can see is about an inch of his body. And he sticks it out and he looks around this way and he looks around this way, and he sees his friend, the spiny desert lizard. And he kind of nods a hello to Billy. He's not a threat to Billy, and Billy's not a threat to him. So he looks over here and then he sees it. Just in the early morning sunrise, he sees a Wilson's spiny desert mouse. And Wilson's mouse is making his way across, and that's breakfast. That's breakfast for Sammy. So Sammy goes back under the sand and nobody can see him. God made him special so that he can go swimming in the desert. Have you ever heard of such a thing? Swimming in the desert. What happens is his body is designed to move through the sand grains and push the sand apart in a perfect manner so that he can actually travel underground unseen by anyone or any creature. And when the time is right, then he can grab his breakfast. But he has to be careful because he likes to be active at night. He's nocturnal. Sometimes a little bit more at sunrise and sunset. But he likes to be active at night, and just like some of you guys. But he's special designed by God to avoid the predator of the desert owl known as the African wood owl. And the African wood owl is always hunting and looking in the desert region. Maybe he'll perch on top of the cactus and he'll look for movement on the sand to see if he can find his breakfast or his midnight snack, as it might be. But the little feller, Sammy, is safe under the sand. And even if the owl sees movement in the sand and runs and flies down there with his talons and digs and reaches into the sand, he misses Sammy because Sammy has swum under without moving the sand on top. And he avoids all kinds of problems that way. But there's another reason Sammy lives under the desert sand. God designed him to be there so he didn't cook to death on the hot sands. It can reach 120 degrees up on the top of that sand in the desert. And it can reach down to 30 or less degrees at night. And these extreme temperatures from hot to cold means that Jesus had to design Sammy to be comfortable and maybe right around 78 degrees all the time. So he made it so he could swim underground. And under the sand, he's cool during the day and warm at night. Jesus thought of everything, didn't he? He thought of just the right place and just the right way to make Sammy so he's comfortable in his home. And he thought of everything when he made you too. In fact, I have a couple Kenyan sand boa constrictors right here. And we're going to see if we can pull some out. Shall we see? You thought it was just sand right here. So my helper Dean is going to come right over here on this side, and Andrea on this side, and we're going to see what we can find. You can't see their trail, but not only are they underground, but Jesus made them beautiful, even when they can't be seen. He thought of everything. And this is a girl Kenyan sand boa, and her name is Kenya. She has spots, and no two Kenyan sand boas are identical or alike. They're all different, just like your thumbprint is all unique and different. Where is Ken? Ken's got to be in here. Ken and Kenya live together under here. Ooh, let's see if we... Everyone in the studio was hoping that he was still in here because, man, this nature and this... Oh, got a little sand on him there. And so we'll put him back. Nope, he's doing fine. Come on, Ken. Clean up a bit here. You're ready for kids to see you. Yeah. So the sand is designed to slip off of him, but you can show him right here, Dean, over the table. And this little fella looks different. He's striped and he's smaller. So the girl Kenyan sand boas, or the ladies, are larger. Isn't that interesting? And the men are a little smaller. That's the way God made them. Now, when you think of a boa constrictor, you can go ahead and let them pet and touch and see a real Kenyan sand boa. You think of a boa constrictor, you think of big and strong and muscular, or huge, or maybe 8 to 10 feet. But boys and girls, Jesus made the Kenyan sand boa small and very special. These are almost full-grown Kenyan sand boas. Kenyan and Ken. And Kenya and Ken enjoy living under the sand 20 hours of the day. They'll live under the sand. Jesus made them so that they can bury themselves in less than 7 seconds if they were in a hurry. They're not always in a hurry because these guys aren't afraid of owls attacking them. But when we do put them back on the sand, you'll have to watch closely and see. As they bury themselves, God designed them to have a little bit of a shovel-shaped head. And their eyes sit a little higher on their head, and their mouth is designed to move the earth away without getting in the way. And they have a special covering over their eyes and their filter in their nose so that no sand ever gets in the way of any of it. And now, as they go back in their home, Ken is anxious to bury himself, and he's going to do just that. And Kenya's going to stay on top and say, "What's going on?" And they flick their tongues in and out. You see that? And their tongues are forked on the end, and Jesus made them special too, because those forked tongues can go in 2 holes in the roof of their mouth when they pull their tongue back in. And those holes are called Jacobson's organs. And those organs tell them all about their environment, how much moisture's in the air, how many stinky feet are out there, or maybe just if there's some food nearby, all kind of things. They don't have ears, but they can hear, sort of, by feeling vibrations. You have felt sound, haven't you? Sound that goes boom, you can feel in your chest or your bones. And that's the same way God made snakes. Their ribs can feel the heart rate of Dean and Andrea as they were holding them. And they could tell if they were nervous or scared and how they were breathing. You know, Jesus didn't just make the sand boas. Of course, there goes Kenya. He made each of you, and He made you special with talents and abilities that's perfect for where you live. Maybe the ability to smile at someone that no one else can do. Because Jesus made the animals for you, but He made you for each other. So that as we remember when He made Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, sure, they were perfect and placed in this beautiful garden. You might not live in a beautiful garden now. We will again one day with Jesus, won't we? And the beautiful thing is that no matter where you live now, you can remember that the Creator has designed you special. And in fact, He thought of everything. He made just the right temperature in the world for you to live, and just the right space and a warm bed for you to sleep in, and then someone to care about you. And you know what else? Jesus knows everything about you. He thought about the color of your hair and the color of your eyes even before you were born. And He thought, wow, I'm going to make this boy or this girl special and unique just like this, so that when they smile, the whole room lights up. And when Jesus finished looking at everything He made, He said, it is good. And do you know what He did when He finished making you? Same thing. He said, it is good. He did not make a mistake. He did not make an error, and He loves you very much. In fact, when Jesus made the earth and all the animals, He made the sea with animals that can go very deep into the ocean and be blind even and not need eyes where there's no sunlight. He even made animals that can go flying high up in the sky. And the beautiful thing as we watch the Kenyan sand boa is we remember that there's places we don't even think about, that Jesus has already designed an animal to live and thrive and do very well. And that's what He wants for each of you, is to live a life abundant with Him. And Jesus says, you know what? You are fearfully and wonderfully made. In fact, His works are so marvelous that when He's done making everything, not only does it fit perfectly where it belongs, but He has a plan for it to have a future. And young people, the future that Jesus has in store for you is fantastic. And that's the point of the Kenyan sand boa. And that's the lesson of the creation story. Because every evening in the cool of the evening, God Himself would walk and talk with Adam and Eve and say, how are you doing today? And He wants to know and He wants to hear from you. How are you doing today? And when He comes and He listens and He wants to hear you pray to Him and say His name and greet Jesus in the morning, just like the sand boa sticking his head out of the sand in the morning, greeting the day. Or thank Him for the day and what you got to do. Thank Him for all you have before you lay your head on the pillow. Because the story of every animal is a love note to you. When you feel a kitten purring against your chest, or you see the wagging tail of a dog, you know that is a love note from God directly to you, whispering, I love you, and I want to see you in my home someday. Do you want to live in Jesus' home one day? Me too. And I think if we look at all of God's creation and all of His animals, we can understand if He did all that thought and all that design just for the little animal, think about how much more He thinks about you and how much more He loves you and wants you to be with Him in His kingdom. So it's never a bad time to think about that and to pray to Him and say, Jesus, I love you and I want to live with you one day. And then when you do live with Him, you could have a pet lion in your living room, or a sand boa, or a tiger in your backyard. And it will be ideal, because that's what God wants for you. He wants happiness and life eternal. Thank you for coming.